The single most important factor to building wealth on this episode of Unlock Your Wealth Today. Your life fully invested. Welcome to Unlock Your Wealth Today. Your life fully invested. I'm your purveyor of prosperity and host Heather Wagenhals, and on this episode, I'm making success simple with the single most important determiner of wealth for you and your family, for anyone for that matter. It's so important. It's our final key in our Keys to Riches financial philosophy, just so it'll stay in your mind and it will sit there and be the thing that you remember when it comes to building wealth the most. Thank you so much for stopping by. This summer is kicking off with quite a bit of excitement. I've already spoken at my first conference last weekend and I'm so excited. I've got all kinds of engagements coming up and I want you to be able to participate and be a part of the fun and a part of the building of your wealth. So stay tuned to the end of the broadcast because I have two things that you could participate in. Two and one coupon to get you some money off. So that'll be really exciting because who doesn't like saving money and building wealth at the same time? I don't know. I kind of like that. But let's talk about what today means, because we keep hearing about, the secrets to building wealth. And you've probably heard me say in past episodes how that the real secret to building wealth is to spend less and invest more. And while that is one of the bigger secrets, without this secret, well, it probably won't happen. And that's how powerful this final key in our Keys to Riches financial philosophy is. So for those of you who are joining us for the first time, thanks so much for stopping by. I'm really excited you join us, and I hope you stick around because the new season starts next week as we kick off with top market analyst and Way of the Renaissance man, Jim Woods, as he stops by to kick off our season opener. We're going to talk about what happened in the markets the last quarter, what's coming up, and it'll be our Freedom Fest primer. Because yes, indeed, it'll be here before you know it. We'll be broadcasting live every day, by the way. So I'll talk more about that in a bit. But let's get focused here because I'm chasing squirrels and you're probably going, get focused. So the most important thing that you need to know that is the secret determiner of building your wealth is our final key in our Keys to Riches financial philosophy. And if you're new here, the Keys to Riches is a baker's dozen of financial concepts that teach you how to think like the rich and be in control of your own money. It also gives you specific techniques to create or fix your credit, eliminate debt, save and invest, all while transforming your current financial habits into healthy money management skills. And we do this one key at a time, 1 week at a time, as we wrap up our final episode for the season. And this 13th key, it's the baker's dozen, it's the extra, if you will, is simply to become a voracious reader. Now, some of you are probably going, what? You kept me in suspense for that? But it's real, and there's value in this, and I would like to take a moment to explain to you why it is so important that we become voracious readers. I know many of you had so many things that you didn't want to read to go through school, and the moment you graduated or dropped out or however you left, you said to yourself, I'm never reading another thing. And therein lies your problem. So if it's been 5 or 10 or more years since you've been in school and you haven't been reading, likely you haven't been growing, regardless of what it is, whether it's just for personal pleasure. I know that I have a favorite fiction genre and I like spy and assassin novels because I want to be right there on the edge and I want to be a part of all that excitement. But I kind of like being in one piece and I don't want to be shot at. So like the idea of being a spy or an assassin means somebody else is probably coming after you. So I can live and be excited by that. And if you're not pursuing favorites like that in fiction, then you're not having an opportunity to grow and live vicariously through someone else in the fictional sense. Moreover, if you don't read nonfiction to learn more about what you do for a living, I mean, that's an incredible way to build wealth. Whatever your job is, how do I get to be the best at whatever it is that I do? That's the question I'm always asking, and I answer that by reading another book. And it's even simpler than ever to read, because guess what? You don't have to sit there and do it. No, none of that anymore. Because why? We have this wonderful thing called audiobooks. You can listen to a book, and the level of quality of narrators is astronomical. I mean, celebrities are now narrating. I do audiobook narration, so I know how competitive it is as a field. You have the opportunity to learn whatever it is you truly desire. Whether it's a hobby, whether it's a passion, whether it's improving your career, and yes, investing and building wealth. These are the things that we need to be reading about if we want to go to the next level. And I'm not talking about just for the sheer information value alone, because what do I always say? Knowledge is superfluous without application. So reading it and not doing anything with it, not integrating it into what you already know, not improving your skills, there's no value in that. That's where the why bother comes in. But let's just talk, because this is a biology-based show about a physiology-first approach to success. So let's talk about the brain science, about why you want to read things. So first, the brain is so powerful that the brain retains everything that you read, and it actually physically changes the brain because it makes new associations, which mean new neural connections. And the more neural connections you can have about a particular topic, and the density of all of those neurons that connect all this other information that you know, and you can simultaneously be activating more than one part of your brain, enhances your ability to think. It improves the way you think, and it gives you resources that you didn't have previously to think with. Now, somebody is probably sitting there while they're watching this and saying, yes, but if that's the case, why did I do so poorly taking tests? That's a simple answer. And the reason why you have a challenge when it comes to taking tests, it's not because you didn't retain the information. When you're taking an exam, this is about recall. This is not about retention. It's about recalling the information. And why is that a problem if you really learned it? Well, there's these little things called hormones. What do we always talk about here on this show? Is the hormone dump when we get what? Stressed. We're responding to the stimulus in our environments. And if we haven't done well on a test in the past, or we don't like a subject, it increases the difficulty for us. And it shouldn't. We shouldn't be doing that. We should be looking forward to taking exams and proving what we know, because the more we learn, the more we can learn. So this is really important. And another benefit that reading gives you that is so important, and this, whether it's in the spy and assassin fiction genre, or if it's in a biography about somebody's life, or if it's just straight how-to nonfiction, simple instruction kind of stuff. So when we read and we make these connections, especially when it comes to conversations between people, and I like this about fiction specifically, because we can learn without feeling like we're actively learning because we're going on this adventure. But when we learn, when we have dialogue between characters or two people in a nonfiction book, but when there's dialogue, especially if there's conflict, you get to see how that gets all sorted out. And you see how that character did that, and you see what outcome it generated. And you look at it and you can analyze it and say, wow, so when this person said this person overreacted emotionally and said that. And then you see how maybe a conversation spirals downward and goes sideways. You get to learn that. And then if you are presented with that scenario, you can say, oh, I already have a frame of reference for it, because the brain already knows this as an experience. Even though it was not an actual experience, the brain doesn't tell the difference between memories and actual experiences and stuff that you've read. I mean, consciously we know that, but subconsciously it's still a reference point. So when the brain goes to hit that neural connection, boom, look what comes up. And so you can go, oh, okay, well, I know I'm not going to say that because it didn't turn out so good for that character Bob in that last book I read. But alternatively, let's say that Bob had to have a super difficult conversation. It was emotionally charged. People were leveling all kinds of not nice things toward each other. But somehow, some way, they managed to connect in this conversation in a way that the outcomes that were generated were good for both parties. That is also a value, because now you can say, all right, I have a situation that's tough like that. It's not going to be easy to get through, but I know if I persevere and if I keep doing what this character did to figure out the way to get through that successfully, now again, your brain has another great reference point. And it's a resource for you. Real or imagined, it doesn't matter. And that's what's so powerful about the brain. And so the more we learn, the more we can learn. And the more we learn about diverse topics or dissenting opinions, the better it is for us, because now we integrate that and it challenges our critical thinking skills. And so by challenging our critical thinking skills, we may be able to come up with something revolutionary or a different perspective, when you can take this person that's anti this and this person that's pro this, and you can see what all of the points are and how they connect or don't connect, and maybe something else in an unrelated field all of a sudden gets a connection as you're reading these differing opinions about how to do something, a process to take, maybe, refining skills. Maybe you're trying to go deeper with a hobby, like say music or art or whatever it is, golf, it doesn't matter. But by reading something that may not be even related, you may be able to make a connection and have some insight that the two people with the differing opinions don't share. And so now that allows your brain to just keep getting better. And that's the value, because if we have all of these vast areas that we have a depth of knowledge in and a breadth of knowledge, multiple different disciplines, unrelated disciplines, it makes you able to think more clearly, and you'll become a more effective decision maker, because the process of decision making is going to be easier. And why does that matter to you? Well, when you start reading about investments, not just how to, but as you start actually applying the information that you learn about investing, so where the information meets experience and then it becomes practical knowledge for you, you're going to be able to make better decisions. And because of this breadth of knowledge, because you've learned multitudes of things, you're going to have a perspective when you evaluate an investment that somebody else can't even get to, because they don't know what you know. So when it comes to evaluating, when you make an investment in a company, if you're looking at an individual company to invest in, it's not just about the business itself, it's what is the business? And what are the things that help that business? What are the things that hurt that business? And you just might have a hobby or an interest or a previous career that actually dealt with that. So you have a unique insight that somebody who's just analyzing the numbers may not come up with. Because there's this factor that we have to take into account that doesn't have an intrinsic value. Like you can't specifically name a value. It's not explicit. It's like an intrinsic value about how you look at the company and or whatever the investment might be. And you have to look at, all right, so here's everything, and then all the numbers look good, but this industry doesn't look good going forward, or this company doesn't look good going forward because of X, Y, and Z. And these are things that you already know, that you already have a frame of reference to, that somebody else evaluating that same investment might not have that insight. And that's the big value. And that's why we want to be reading about anything and everything. So I'm not just saying that you have to read about investing all the time. No, because great information, tools, and resources can come from anywhere. Even your arch enemy has things to teach you that you can learn from. And there's a value and a benefit to that. And that's what reading gives you. It gives you other people's insights and perspectives. You know, one year I challenged myself and I asked all of my friends, I said, I want to read a biography a week. Everybody give me some great ones. And I got an amazing array of biographies to read. And I was blown away at the lives that some people had led and how their lives look so simple and elegant and effortless now because, you know, they're either rich or famous or both. But you look at the challenges that they had to overcome. And maybe it might be a celebrity that you don't particularly like, but maybe you have a connection to their personal story. And now you're looking at them in a different way. I mean, this is what reading gives us. I mean, I just wish there were more hours in the day that I could actually be reading. Because that's my challenge. You know, I try to read at least 2 or 3 books a week. I try to read one for fun, you know, that's just about my adventures or doing something exciting. And then I try to read one specifically about the brain, because that's my passion, how we think and how we can be bigger, better, faster, stronger, smarter, just by using this up here better. And then I try to read a book about investing. Maybe there's some new segment, like that's all the rage now, that everybody's talking about crypto. Or should we go back to gold? Like, what about inflation? So I read a book that's related to the industry that I'm trying to help you achieve, which is building wealth, different wealth strategies. So I'm always trying to find something new. And if somebody tells me to read a book, the fact that they took the time to share a book title, I always read it. Some of them stink, whatever. But many times you get hidden gems and you have no idea what you're going to learn. And if you never open the book, you'll never know what you're missing. And this is probably the single best aspect about investing, because it's the deal, because you need more resources. So you don't read boring, stuffy finance books if you don't want to, but read about life, learn about the things that are around you, and you'll become better as an investor because you'll have, again, more resources. And the more you learn, the more you can learn, and those fabulous neurons start doing what they're supposed to be doing. And your critical thinking skills and ability to evaluate and make assessments will become more streamlined and more refined. And that's why we're in it. So if you're not a reader, which is a big challenge for folks, it's hard to make that a priority, especially if you don't like headphones. And if you're like some old school like I am, as much as I read audiobooks, I love a good book that I can truly curl up with on the sofa and just read it and get swept away to somewhere else. And if that's the way you are, but you don't currently have that as a habit, we got to make it a habit. So here is your key strategy for this week's key, Become a Voracious Reader. And your key strategy is to take 5. Either take 5 minutes and read, or take 5 pages and read them. Books are laid out all different. They come in all different kind of sizes. So 5 pages or 5 minutes, whichever is shorter. And don't go over it. Do not go over it. Stick within that 5-5 rule. And the reason why is because, yes, if you have a really exciting book, you might get carried away and you might really want to be reading like crazy. And then you'll read more than the 5 that you allotted. And then what happens? It messes you up for the rest of the day. Maybe you're late because you got sucked into the book, or you missed something, or you didn't do something. Now we're going to have like this bad feeling about it. So like, then we're going to be like, no, I can't read until I know I can devote a bunch of time. And later never comes. Let me just tell you, later never comes. And tomorrow is not promised. So you got to maximize today. So if you can read it for 5 minutes and you're hungry for more, that's a great thing, because that means that you will pick it up tomorrow. And then naturally, after we build this habit, and remember, it's not 30 days, it's not 21 days, it's not 45. 66 days or 3,000 repetitions. That's what it takes to get something from conscious activity into the subconscious, where we just do it automatically. And what will happen is, if you focus on that 5, at some point, once you have that consistency of every day reading for 5 minutes or 5 pages, you'll just naturally, it'll just creep along. And then you'll make it 6 minutes and then 7 minutes. Maybe you start setting your alarm and you get up 5 minutes earlier. So now you can have 10 minutes to read. However you structure it, stick with the 5, and then it'll naturally grow as the habit builds and reinforces itself over time. So that's it for this week's key, and that's it for this week, this whole season of the second quarter. We're starting third quarter next week, if you could believe it. So we have a whole lot coming up for you. So week after next, July 16th and 17th, if you have a side hustle or a side gig and you're trying to get ahead, and you have a main gig and you're trying to work your side gig so it can augment your income or be the thing you transition to, if you want tools and resources to be able to make that happen, well, then you need to join me and Tara Jackson and her incredible lineup of speakers at SideGigCon. It's July 16th and 17th, and I am very honored to be one of the keynote speakers. And we're going to talk about clearing that path for success in the midday motivation. It's a virtual one, so there are no excuses why you can't be there. Like, oh, well, it's just, I can't travel that fast. Guess what? Don't got to. So all you have to do if you want to participate is visit SideGigCon, as in conference, SideGigCon.com, and I will look forward to seeing you July 16th and 17th. Now, for those of you, we are abutting the Independence Day weekend, and there is nothing more than I love celebrating than my freedom and my individualism and my pursuit of achievement and all of the things that this great country affords us. And if you are like-minded, I would like to have you join me at the largest liberty and economic conference in the world. Yes, the largest gathering of free minds, called Freedom Fest, is happening, and it's just the following week after Side Gig. Please join us in Mount Rushmore, South Dakota, July 21st through the 24th. I'm speaking a couple of times, and I'm also going to be broadcasting live at the Unlock Your Wealth remote studios alongside the top market analyst and Way of the Renaissance man, Jim Woods. In our broadcast booth on Media Row, we are going to be exploring all kinds of great topics, and it's your chance to be a part of our shows. Yes, ask your questions, get them answered live. Maybe you have a compelling story that you would like to tell about your journey to wealth. Well, guess what? Now is your time, because we're going to be doing tons of interviews, live broadcasts, and there's a plethora of things going on. And so I encourage you to join us at the largest gathering of free minds. Oh, by the way, we also have the Anthem Film Festival at Freedom Fest. And so that in and of itself, it's the largest libertarian film festival, I believe. So if you want to see some great films, some impactful films, and if you want to learn how to deepen your commitment to yourself and your individual rights, if you want to expand your economic knowledge and learn about a myriad investments and get to hear from some of the top financial gurus in their fields and be able to walk up and talk to them after their talks. This is the place to be. Again, Mount Rushmore in South Dakota, July 21st through 24th. And I would be remiss if I didn't happen to mention that, guess what? Because you're a fan of Unlock Your Wealth, you get $50 off your entry fee. Visit now because we're almost sold out. So it's only a couple of weeks away. So visit unlockyourwealth.com/FreedomFest and join us for the largest liberty and economic conference in the world. I look forward to seeing you at both SideGigCon in July 16th and 17th, and the following week I'm headed to Mount Rushmore in South Dakota, and I look forward to seeing you join me live and in person there for my great talks, as well as broadcasting live and getting to connect with like-minded individuals. So I look forward to seeing you there. If you have any questions or you need links, no problem. Just visit the show page and I'll look forward to giving you the links to everything that you need to know and more. And we're kicking off next season with an amazing first start. I've never done this on the first show of the finals of a new season, but I'm going to give you my Keys to Riches financial fire escape plan totally free. All you have to do is visit crackingyourmoneycode.com and type in your email address, and you will get this amazing financial fire escape plan that we don't talk about until our sixth key in Hope for the Best, Plan for the Worst, where we actually go over it. So that's it. I know I loaded you up, but guess what? Visit the website at unlockyourwealth.com and you'll get all the details right there. Thank you so much for being a part of today's episode. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, just direct message me on social media at Facebook or Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever you find me, Twitter, at Unlock Your Wealth. I will love to answer your questions and help address any issues that you might be facing. Additionally, if you got value out of today's broadcast, I encourage you, if you're watching from social media, to bookmark this, like it, and then share it in your stories and your feeds, because a rising tide lifts all boats. And if it's true what Jim Rohn says, and we're just an average of the top 5 people we hang around with, well then, wouldn't it make sense to make sure that they're getting their financial knowledge too? It'll help. You can have your support of all of your great friends. All you have to do is share this information with them, and when you lift up others, so too you shall rise. I'm Heather Wagenhals, thanking you so much for stopping by, and I'm making success simple for you. Now go out and unlock your wealth today.
UnlockYourWealthToday.com is produced by Heather Wagenhals and the Unlock Your Wealth Foundation. Unlock Your Wealth Today and affiliate brands are copyrighted 2021 by Heather Wagenhals, all rights reserved. For more information about the Keys to Riches financial philosophy or this week's free strategy, please visit UnlockYourWealthToday.com.